Have you ever noticed how she walked away without hesitation? No tears, no drama, no second thoughts. But months later, she's suddenly back, watching your stories, liking your posts, asking innocent questions that don't really need answers, and you're left wondering, what changed? Here's the truth most men never realize. She didn't regret leaving you back then. She regrets it now. And today, you're going to understand exactly why. Because women don't regret losing every man. They regret losing a very specific kind of man. A man who left a psychological imprint so deep that time didn't erase it, it amplified it. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll see clearly whether you were that man and why her regret had nothing to do with love and everything to do with replacement. Let's start with the first sign. Sign number 1. You elevated her life, the improvement echo. Here's something uncomfortable for most men to hear. Women don't regret losing comfort. They regret losing a catalyst. They don't miss the man who made them laugh. They don't miss the man who entertained them. They don't even miss the man who loved them deeply. They miss the man who expanded their standards and their identity. This is where psychology comes in. There's a concept called cognitive imprinting. Once a person's worldview expands, once their internal standards rise, it cannot be unseen. You can't shrink back to who you were before. And if you were the man who triggered that expansion, your absence becomes loud. Let me make this real. While she was with you, something changed in her. She became more disciplined, more intentional, more selective with her time. Her standards quietly rose. Maybe she started dressing better, thinking bigger, speaking with more confidence, taking her future more seriously. And at the time, she didn't credit you for it. She thought, this is just me growing. This relationship isn't that special. I can find this again. So she left. But here's what happened next. Without you, the momentum stalled. The structure disappeared. The mirror was gone. The standard setter was missing. And slowly, silently, regression replaced growth. This is when regret begins. Not because she misses you, but because she misses who she became around you. Why this hits so hard psychologically? Growth creates contrast. When you elevate a woman's internal world, you create a before and after effect. Before you, lower standards, smaller vision, less discipline. After you, clarity, direction, expanded self-image. When she leaves you and enters new relationships, something strange happens. The next man feels safe, predictable, flat. He doesn't challenge her thinking. He doesn't stretch her identity. He doesn't raise the bar, and suddenly she realizes, I didn't just lose a relationship, I lost an upgrade. That's when nostalgia starts. Patterns that reveal this sign. Here's how this regret shows up. She compares new men to you silently and feels disappointment. She says things like, something feels missing. Her attraction fades faster than before. She reminisces about that phase of her life. But notice something important. Her nostalgia isn't romantic, it's existential. She's not missing you. She's missing the version of herself that no longer exists, and that's far more painful. A short story to drive this home. A man I coached, let's call him Alex, didn't think he was special. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't dramatic. He was grounded, disciplined, intentional. While dating him, his girlfriend started waking up earlier, taking her career seriously, cutting off toxic friends, thinking long-term. Then she left him. 6 months later, she messaged him. I don't know why, but nothing feels as meaningful as it did back then. Alex hadn't changed. She had. And once that internal expansion happened, every future relationship felt like a downgrade. The insight most men miss. Women may forget the man who entertained them. They never forget the man who expanded them. If you were the one who raised her internal bar, who changed how she saw herself, her future, her potential, then losing you doesn't hurt immediately. It hurts later. When she realizes growth isn't guaranteed and catalysts are rare. And this leads us perfectly into the second sign, because elevating her life is powerful. But what really rewires her perception, what makes regret unavoidable, is when a man provides emotional safety without dependency. Most men fail here. The men women regret losing don't. In part 1, we talked about the first reason women regret losing a man. He elevated her life. He didn't just date her, he expanded her. Now we go deeper. Because while growth creates nostalgia, emotional safety without weakness creates recalibration. This is where regret starts to form quietly, often without her even realizing it. Let's move to the second sign. Sign number 2. You gave her safety without dependency. This one is rare, and it's where most men completely misunderstand female psychology. Women don't regret losing men who made them feel safe. They regret losing men who made them feel safe without becoming dependent, needy, or controllable. That balance is incredibly uncommon. The psychological mechanism, emotional containment. There's a concept in psychology called emotional containment. It's the ability to be present with someone's emotions without absorbing them, without reacting to them, without collapsing under them. In simple terms, you could handle her storms without drowning in them. She could cry. Venting could turn into spiraling. Emotions could run high. And you didn't panic. You didn't beg. You didn't try to fix everything desperately. You didn't make it about you. You stayed grounded. That's not emotional distance. That's emotional strength. Why this rewires how she sees you. Most men fall into one of two traps. One, they emotionally detach, cold, unavailable, distant. Two, they emotionally collapse, needy, reactive, anxious. Very few men can do the third thing, stay present without losing their center. When a woman experiences this, something important happens. She feels safe enough to open up, but not powerful enough to control you. That combination is rare, and rare things are remembered. Let me give you a real scenario. She's overwhelmed. Something happened at work. She's emotional. Her words are messy, charged, sometimes unfair. A reactive man takes it personally. He gets defensive. He argues. He tries to correct her emotions. A needy man panics. He oversoothes. He apologizes for things he didn't do. He loses his frame. But you stayed calm. You listened. You didn't interrupt. You didn't absorb the chaos. You were present, not penetrated. That's containment. And here's the key part most men miss. You still enforced boundaries when they were crossed. You didn't tolerate disrespect. You didn't allow emotional manipulation. You didn't reward instability. You were kind, but not soft. Present, but not bendable. Patterns that reveal this sign. If this was you, here's what likely happened. She opened up to you more than to other men. She felt understood without feeling dominant. She tested limits and you didn't bend. When things ended, you didn't chase or beg. And here's the part that matters most. After the breakup, you didn't collapse. Which leads us to the twist inside this sign. The moment that triggered regret. She expected something. She expected you to beg, plead, explain, emotionally unravel. Because that's what most men do. And if you had done that, her perception of you would have dropped permanently. But you didn't. You held your center. You accepted the ending calmly. You respected yourself. You didn't weaponize emotion. You didn't disappear in bitterness or desperation. And that moment forced a recalibration in her mind. She thought she had the power. Instead, she realized you were never emotionally owned by her. That realization doesn't hit immediately. It hits weeks later, months later, when she replays the breakup. And that's when respect turns into regret. Why this matters? A woman doesn't regret losing the man she could emotionally control. She regrets losing the man she couldn't destabilize, the one who stayed grounded even when the relationship ended. And that brings us directly into the third sign, because emotional stability only works when it's backed by something deeper. Sign number 3, you had purpose beyond her. This is one of the most painful realizations for a woman, and one of the most empowering positions for a man. Here it is. Women don't regret leaving the man who made them his whole world. They regret leaving the man who had a world of his own. The psychological mechanism: direction signals stability. Purpose is not about ambition alone. It's about direction. A man with direction moves differently, thinks differently, responds differently. His life has momentum. And women are deeply attuned to momentum because it signals future stability. When a man has purpose beyond the relationship, he communicates, I am going somewhere, with or without you. That's not arrogance. That's backbone. What this looked like while you were together. Before her, you already had a life. You had routines, goals, commitments, something you were building. She didn't become your mission. She joined your journey. And when she left, your life didn't implode. That's the key. After the breakup, the silent realization. Here's where regret accelerates. After the breakup, many men spiral. They stop training, stop progressing, stop building. Their world shrinks. But you stabilized, then leveled up. You got sharper, more focused, more disciplined, more intentional, not to prove anything, not to get her back, but because that's who you are. And when she eventually noticed, through mutual friends, social media, coincidence, something hit her. I misjudged him. Why this creates regret so fast? Because now comparison enters the picture. She sees you growing. Meanwhile, her new situation feels stagnant. New men try to impress her. They chase, they adjust, they center their lives around her. And suddenly she realizes, you were different. You didn't need her to move forward. And here's the painful thought that follows. The man I left became the man I hoped he would. Without me. Nothing creates regret faster than that realization. Patterns that reveal this sign. If this applies to you, you'll notice. Your life expanded after the breakup. You became more focused, not more emotional. She started reappearing after your growth became visible. Her curiosity returned when your availability didn't. And here's the important part. She didn't come back because she missed the relationship. She came back because she saw who you were becoming. And that's powerful. The insight most men miss. A woman doesn't regret losing a man because he loved her deeply. She regrets losing him because he didn't need her to become more. That's when she realizes she didn't leave weakness. She left strength. And this sets the stage for the final sign, the one that locks the memory in permanently. Because growth, safety, and purpose are powerful. But what makes a man unforgettable is emotional contrast. And that's exactly what we'll cover in part 3. Up to this point, you've seen 3 reasons women regret losing a man. You elevated her life, you gave her safety without dependency, you had purpose beyond her. Those 3 alone already separate you from most men. But the 4th sign is what locks the memory in permanently. It's the reason time doesn't erase you. It's the reason new men feel dull in comparison. It's the reason regret grows instead of fading. Let's talk about it. Sign number 4. You created emotional contrast. Here's the truth most men never learn. Women don't bond through constant comfort. They bond through contrast. Not chaos, not drama, but contrast. Warmth and distance, closeness and space, tenderness and challenge. This contrast creates emotional spikes, and emotional spikes create memory. And memory is where regret lives. The psychological mechanism, emotional encoding. The brain doesn't remember neutral experiences well. It remembers peaks, moments that made her feel alive, moments that stretched her emotionally, moments that carried weight. This is why being nice isn't enough. Nice is flat, predictable, emotionally colorless. Women don't miss men who were nice. They miss men who made them feel something. What this looked like when you were together. You weren't predictable. You knew when to be present and when to step back. You didn't reward every behavior with attention. You didn't validate every emotion. You didn't constantly reassure. Your presence had gravity. When you gave attention, it meant something. When you pulled back, it created space. Not anxiety, but awareness. She couldn't take you for granted. Because your energy wasn't cheap. A simple but powerful example. Imagine this difference. One man texts constantly, always available, always agreeable, always emotionally open. Another man is warm, grounded, attentive, but not always accessible. He listens deeply. Then he returns to his life. He doesn't linger unnecessarily. Which man leaves a deeper imprint? Not the one who gave everything freely, but the one whose presence had contrast. Why this becomes clear only after you're gone. While she was with you, she felt it, but didn't fully understand it. After the breakup, something strange happens. She meets new men. They're consistent, they're kind, they're stable, and yet something feels off. The conversations are flat. The chemistry feels muted. The emotional range is narrow. There are no spikes, no depth, no emotional color. That's when memory activates, not of what you did, but of how she felt with you. Alive, awakened, challenged, seen. And that's when regret intensifies. Patterns that reveal this sign. If you created emotional contrast, you'll notice. She remembers moments vividly, not details. She says things like, "I've never felt that again." New men feel boring to her, even if they're good. Her memory of you grows stronger with time. Because emotional contrast doesn't fade, it compounds. The core insight of sign number 4. Women don't miss men who made life comfortable. They miss men who made life feel alive. And when that aliveness disappears from their future options, they look backward. Now comes the revelation that changes everything. Here it is. She didn't regret losing you because she loved you. She regretted losing you because she couldn't replace you. Regret doesn't begin at the breakup. It begins later, after comparison, after novelty fades, after emotional contrast disappears, after she realizes what she had was rare. And here's the twist most men miss. You were never the one being tested. She was. She tested whether you'd lose yourself. She tested whether you'd beg. She tested whether you'd collapse. She tested whether you'd stop growing. And when you didn't, that's when the regret started. Let's bring all 4 signs together. A woman regrets losing you when 1. You elevated her standards and identity. You expanded her internal world, and she can't unsee it. 2. You gave her safety without neediness. You held her emotions without being owned by them. 3. You lived with purpose beyond the relationship. Your life kept moving forward, with or without her. 4. You created emotional contrast she can't forget. You made her feel alive, not just comfortable. This combination is rare, and rare things are irreplaceable. The core lesson. Here's the lesson that matters most. A woman regrets losing the man she can't replace, not the man who begged her to stay. Begging kills respect. Chasing kills mystery. Explaining kills polarity. But grounded forward movement, that rewires memory. Actionable advice moving forward. If you recognize yourself in these signs, remember this. 1. Don't chase returning women for validation. Regret is not the same as readiness. Watch behavior, not words. 2. Maintain boundaries, even when nostalgia appears. Respect doesn't come from reopening old doors. It comes from consistency. 3. Never move backward to feel chosen. If she returns, she must meet the man you've become, not the version she left. 4. Keep building your life forward. Growth is what made you unforgettable. Stopping now would erase the very thing that created regret. If you've watched this far, I want you to understand something clearly. If a woman regrets losing you, that's not something to chase. It's something to learn from. Because it means you were never average, never replaceable, never forgettable. And the man you're becoming now is even stronger than the one she lost. Comment below which sign you recognized in yourself. Like the video if this hit closer than expected. Subscribe for deeper female psychology and masculine self-mastery. And share this with a man who needs to stop doubting his value. Because once you understand why women regret losing certain men, you stop chasing and start choosing.